Welcome. This is Jean Eaton with Information Managers. It's my honor and privilege to have you here with us for Practice Management Nuggets. This is a weekly interview series with healthcare providers, practice managers, and trusted vendors who support healthcare practices. Our topics help primary care practice managers, healthcare providers, and owners to implement, maintain, or improve their business practice administration so that healthcare providers can focus on providing quality healthcare services. I am your host, Jean Eaton, the Practice Management Mentor with Information Managers. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about privacy awareness training, and I have as our guest today, Heather Mooney. So this is going to be about 30 minutes, and we're going to get through lots of content in a very short period of time. So I'd like to make sure that everybody can hear us and see the slides. So please take this opportunity to check in with us on your chat and let us know that everything is working for you on your end. We're looking forward to getting through to your questions as best as we can. When you enter the information in the chat, please include your email address so that we can reply to you if we run out of time during our presentation today. So Heather Mooney is the VP of Business Development with Corridor Interactive. And I met Heather this summer when we're working on a project to develop the privacy awareness training for healthcare practices on the Corridor Interactive training platform. And I'm delighted that Heather is with us today. And I want to say thank you very much, Heather. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Jean.
Okay. Well, we're going to get right into the details today. And tell us, Heather, a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Corridor Interactive.
Thanks, Jean. As you mentioned, my name's Heather Mooney, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development with Corridor. My background, I come from an element of HR, Employee Assistance Program, Disability Management, and now have moved into the policy and compliance realm of human resource. Corridor Interactive is a Calgary and Canadian-based organization that has been in business for over 15 years now. We started our journey with this organization developing a comprehensive training program that was specific to alcohol and drug awareness. It was something that clients were looking for at every level. And we had partnered with a subject matter expert, a renowned individual within Canada, that provided us with her content and allowed us to develop an online training course. Over the years, our clients have come back to us looking for additional training on compliance, social responsibility, and policy specifically. So we've included and continue to develop a library of applications, including things like workplace violence and harassment, diversity and inclusion, corporate governance, etc. So as you mentioned, Jean, you and I were introduced through a mutual client that had come to you around policy development in the privacy area. And they have significant number of applications with Corridor and had said, is there an opportunity for us to be able to provide the privacy awareness training online through the Corridor platform? So we were lucky enough to get introduced through that particular customer and recognize that there was a really great opportunity and synergy to partner together to develop the privacy awareness training for the healthcare practices.
It was very great timing. I've been delivering privacy awareness training across Alberta and Canada and into the States now for the last 10 years. But I didn't have the training platform that Corridor did to be able to really provide a state-of-the-art, top-notch training platform electronically that people could access online. So it certainly was a great partnership, and I am absolutely thrilled that we're able to launch it today and let everybody know about the new training online program for privacy awareness in healthcare.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. Organizations continue to want to move to an online type service for their training to ensure that when someone is newly hired or newly promoted, that they have the training that they need in order to do their jobs efficiently.
It absolutely is. And the privacy awareness training program, we're going to talk a little bit about what the benefits are about privacy awareness training. And then today we're going to have Heather show us a demonstration about how the platform actually works and what you would see as a user and how you can share this information with your teams. And then we'll take your questions at the end. So privacy awareness in healthcare is a requirement that everybody needs in the organization and in healthcare. I had the opportunity to work with Jennifer Stack, the transformation lead for Corridor, to update and provide the privacy awareness content for this training program so that we can develop that comprehensive piece. Now, the training program for privacy awareness includes many of those key learning objectives that we need for privacy awareness. It includes patient and client rights, safeguards, privacy principles, and then some really practical applications about how it would apply in primary care organizations in particular. So we wanted to be able to make sure that we had attended to some key points about safeguards, privacy principles that support both provincial and federal privacy legislation and guidelines, and how to answer questions from patients about how their personal information is being collected, used, disclosed, and protected. The other part about a comprehensive privacy awareness training program is how to recognize and report a privacy breach. Now, people are always asking me about privacy and why is it important. We need to make sure that a privacy awareness training program really talks about the key components about privacy, confidentiality, and security. Just because we work in a healthcare industry or in a helping industry doesn't necessarily mean that people understand the details about why this is so important. And if you don't have a clear understanding about these key concepts, people are going to make mistakes, not intentionally, but they're going to make mistakes and error in judgment. So having a clear understanding and a common understanding around, through your organization is a key part about any privacy awareness training program. So the course outline includes these key points. We're talking about privacy. We'll introduce what I call the power of three and defining privacy, confidentiality, and security. We're going to talk about privacy legislation, and this particular course includes references to the Alberta's Health Information Act. But the key concepts about privacy and privacy legislation are very similar from province to province and different jurisdictions. So we'll come back and talk to that piece again. So we're going to also talk about the responsibility of those key individuals in a healthcare organization and those key individuals that have been named by legislation as custodians, affiliates, and information managers, and what their roles and responsibility is under privacy legislation and about being privacy aware. We're also going to talk about privacy officers or chief information officers or security and compliance officers and what they do to share information and what is their responsibility in the organization. The training course also talks about privacy breaches, how to recognize a privacy breach, what to do if you have a privacy breach, and then how are you going to review that privacy breach information, that incident, what are your requirements for notification and reporting, and most importantly, how can you learn from a privacy breach? So if you're going to go through the pain, what's going to help you get through the pain and get to the other end and learn from your practices to make sure that things are improved. We're also going to talk about safeguards and what exactly is health information, what's covered under the Act, and handling personal health information. What are the practical aspects of handling personal health information in daily activities? And how can all of these pieces of the puzzle come together to make sure that you have a comprehensive training plan in your healthcare organization? And most importantly, that you have a common understanding within your organization about how you're going to implement all of those parts. So privacy awareness training is a really important part about your healthcare organization and the compliance. We work in the helping industries, and generally we understand that privacy and confidentiality is important. But what many individuals don't understand are the details about privacy, confidentiality, and security. Now, I wanted to share with you about some questions that are always always get about privacy awareness. People will tell me, well, we had a privacy breach, but maybe it wasn't really a privacy breach. It was only one fax about one patient that went to the wrong place. It's not really a privacy breach, is it? Or another question that I'm constantly asked is, I know I'm not supposed to look up my friend's health information, but it's okay that I look up my own information or my daughter's information, isn't it? I mean, it's my information. So as an employer and a healthcare provider, you are responsible to provide training to all of your employees about privacy awareness. If you don't provide the training, if the employees don't understand the policies, and there is a privacy breach, then the healthcare provider is more likely to be held accountable for that privacy breach individually under the legislation and face the penalties. So the privacy awareness training is very important to protect your organization and your patients. As a healthcare provider and an owner, it's your responsibility to equip your staff with the information that they need to confidentially and correctly handle personal health information. So a privacy awareness training program will give your staff the knowledge and the tools that they need to apply policy in their day-to-day work and to prevent a privacy breach with privacy awareness training. So these are the key parts about any privacy awareness training program. If you don't invest in privacy awareness training, there are a number of things that are going to happen. You will have more privacy breaches. If you don't invest now, you're going to end up paying later. Investing in privacy awareness training is better than having to pay later to manage a privacy breach. Now, if you have a privacy breach, you can expect that it's going to cost you between $250 to $2,000 per person that you need to notify about a privacy breach. So it certainly is more cost effective to be able to provide consistent and regular training to all of your staff rather than having to deal with a privacy breach. Having a comprehensive privacy training program will help you to develop consistent policies and procedures and training about the collection, use, and disclosure of personal information. If you don't have a consistent training program in place, your policies and your procedures will not be consistently implemented, and you will continue to have problems. So I wanted to touch just a bit on some of the biggest myths. One of the biggest myths is that healthcare providers don't need privacy awareness training, and this is absolutely a myth. In fact, we have many examples of healthcare providers who have been disciplined by the professional colleges and have been fined under the Health Information Act for a privacy breach. Healthcare professionals need to understand that the Health Information Act, and in particular, their special responsibilities of a custodian, and these are the types of things that we talk about in the privacy awareness training. Many people believe that a privacy breach won't happen to them. This is a myth. 40% of the general population have been personally affected by a privacy breach. 80% of all privacy breaches are caused internal to the organization. Most of the time, the cause is employees making mistakes or not following policies and procedures. Upwards of 60% of all healthcare organizations have reported a privacy breach. And there are many privacy breaches in healthcare that are not reported. So you don't have to be rich and famous to be a victim of a privacy breach or have to deal with a privacy breach in your organization. If you don't have computers, we don't need to have privacy awareness training. Well, this is a myth too. The most frequent sources of a privacy breach continue to be those low-tech activities that we have in each of our organizations. The management of garbages, shredding, recycling, and using fax machines. And this is why we need to make sure that we have all of the employees in our organization, even the person in the kitchen and the person that's looking after the cleaning and emptying the garbages, to be part of that privacy awareness training, because they need to be a frontline person to help protect that confidentiality and the security of information, even if it's not part of their job to provide direct patient care. One of the fears that people have about privacy awareness training is that it takes too much time to develop a training program and be able to deliver that efficiently and effectively for all of your new and current employees. Well, Heather and I are here to tell you that privacy awareness training is easy with Corridor interactive online learning experiences, and that your learning is going to be much more effective than conventional training and compliance with regulation and professional standards. Heather, would you give us a demonstration of the Corridor Interactive platform?
So one of the unique things about the Corridor Interactive platform is the fact that each individual person, when they purchase a subscription, would get a unique username and password. So as I mentioned earlier, when the person logs in, they're going to see the My Courses page, and it'll have welcome in the person's name. And then it would list the courses that the person has been signed up for. So as you can see, it shows the date, that the expectation of when you're going to complete the course by, the status. In some cases, I haven't started it. In others, I've already completed. And then when the subscription itself will actually expire. So here's a list of all the courses I'm signed up for. So things like the alcohol and drug that we spoke about, workplace violence, and specifically around privacy awareness. So when I click on the privacy awareness tab, I'm going to go back to the beginning with the welcome. And it actually gives you an opportunity. There's a short video here, and the person can listen.
Welcome to the Corridor Online Learning System. This video will introduce you to the components of your course.
The following video will introduce you to the components.
There you go. So in this case, it just gives them an opportunity to show how to actually navigate the application in the course. You don't have to go through this. In most cases, people fast forward and go into the course itself. What'll happen here on the right-hand side is it is a dynamic table of content. So as the person continues to go through the course and the content, as Jean had talked about, they'll see where they are in the course, and they'll get the check boxes here on the right-hand side. How the content has been set up, again, Jean provided the actual content itself, and it was transformed by our instructional design team. And we have interactivity throughout the entire course. So each page gives you an opportunity with knowledge nuggets. In the case of the privacy awareness training, the individual, we have them fill out a pre-test. So we fill out these questions, and the pre-test is really just to give you an understanding of your current awareness before you actually start the course in its entirety. So at that time, you go ahead and you fill it out. We're going to submit the answers, and it gives you your actual test score. In this case, I got 30%, not a great score, but it tells me what actually the answer is. So there's not an opportunity to continue to click on the multiple choice questions until I get it right. So that's good information just to say, okay, so clearly you need to go through this training course, Heather. We have situations and scenarios throughout the course, and again, these are provided by Jean, having worked in the industry and dealing with her clients and what's trending with regard to the kinds of questions that she's being asked on a regular basis. So the person goes through, great opportunity for additional information. As I mentioned, and as Jean mentioned, there's certain parts within the course where there's additional resources. And depending on what element of the course it is, these additional resources here at the bottom, when you click on the additional resource, it comes up in a separate tab, giving you additional information. You close the tab, and you continue on throughout the course. At the end of the course, we have what we call a post-test, or kind of a final exam. The final exam is really about ensuring that you've comprehended the actual information and training as it went through. And we want to ensure that people are understanding what they've been reading, that they are compliant with what's happening moving forward within the organization. One of the opportunities is also to have organizations have a detailed audit trail Our audit trail has been used in arbitration cases in the past in other topics. But it's important to know that the expectation within organizations has really, from a court perspective, has come to the point where it really is the onus is on the employer to ensure that appropriate training has been provided, which is why most organizations are moving to an online format versus the face-to-face. So as I submit my final exam, great news, I've received 93%. And it tells me in detail here that when I go back into my courses page, I'm going to have the opportunity to print my certificate. One of the things about the course itself as well is the fact that in the examples you have feedback that is provided with additional information of why all of these things, all the above, is the correct answer as an example. So once the person goes through, the next thing is we provide a survey of sorts. And the survey had already completed it. So it really goes through it. It tells you, what did you think of the course? Would you recommend the course to others? And our experience in training over hundreds of thousands of employees and supervisors in multiple disciplines is that over 97% of our responses on the survey say yes, they would recommend the course to others. After you've completed, there also is a references tab that the person can go into at any time and go through some of these additional references and links and tools that have been provided. So as I mentioned, the last piece, we go back into my course. It shows that I have in fact completed it. Here's where the print certificate comes in, and it populates it with my name. It populates it on the day that I've actually completed. And you can print that off and put it in your own file, but it ensures compliance. And then it also gives the details here of when I actually passed the course and what my score was. If things change within the course, one of the great opportunities for us is the fact that we have this network of external subject matter experts. They live and breathe their subject matter on a daily basis. So if legislation, regulations, and so forth continue to change, they provide us with that updated content, and as long as you have an active subscription, you're going to get those updates to the content as well. So that's the demonstration of the platform itself. In the case of the courses that are listed here currently on the screen, these are ones that currently we have available to buy now off the Corridor Interactive website. If you're a larger organization that has a specific policy in privacy and has procedures, and you want to be able to embed that into the current content, we absolutely have the ability to do that. We just customize the application in working with Jean as a subject matter expert and our instructional design team to ensure that your policy and procedures fit into the course itself. So there you have it. That's our general piece. And as you can see, there's the login page. And now, Jean, I will give the screen back to you.
Thank you, Heather. We're going to take questions from our audience about the demonstration for Corridor. But I wanted to also share with you some of the testimonials that we've or that Corridor has received. So this course, the privacy awareness course, has gone through a pilot period. We have people that are actively using the course, and we've received some comments about this particular course. So we've got people that have taken the course and they find that the information has been well presented. Corridor has a long history of being able to provide training opportunities, and they are receiving very high recommendations about the way that the platform works, that it's reliable, that it can be bought right off the shelf, or it can be customized depending on what you need. So I'm delighted to be able to work with Corridor to be able to provide this training platform. It's an excellent reputation of the company, and the technology is reliable and easy to use. So those are great things about Corridor and the training platform that I've experienced, and why I wanted to be able to share this with my audience.
Thanks, Jean.
To start our wrap up and to be able to ask people to enter their questions in the chat box, or if you're on the Google Hangout application, that you can raise your hand and we can include you in the information as well. So privacy awareness is everyone's responsibility. It's very important that you build privacy into every step and service that you provide to the patients. We call that privacy by design. Now, you can have your own privacy awareness training program in-house. There's always a need to have face-to-face training and to be able to have some workshops, but that doesn't always work for everybody, and it's not always the most timely. It is the requirement of the employer to be able to provide privacy awareness training, and you need to be able to demonstrate that somebody attended and that they have a certain understanding of the concepts that were taught. So using the Corridor's Interactive's training platform allows you to be able to demonstrate that, yes, people did attend. They went through a series of the slides, that they did a test, and that they should have some knowledge and understanding about the course content. And that's what you as an employer need to be able to demonstrate. So what I suggest that you do now as far as your next step is to contact Corridor Interactive and request a demonstration of the training platform, or you can buy right off of their website right now. So in the chat box, I've given you the connection information, and you can go to corridorinteractive.com is their website, and take a look at the courses that are available and be able to buy now. So Heather, if somebody wanted to customize the content and have more information specific to their organization on that platform, who do they contact?
So they can contact myself, and that's hmooney@corridorinteractive.com. But also there is a form within the Corridor Interactive website that you can request a demo or request additional information. So even there, you can submit your form, and I would contact you, and just if you give me some details around how large the organization is and what it is specifically you're looking for, we'd be happy to help.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a number of things about privacy awareness training. Heather, the time to take the course we've estimated is about 2.5 hours, so people can start the course and come and go as they need, and then they're able to be bookmarked so they can go back to where they left off?
Exactly. So as you saw when I did the demonstration, because I had done the recording previously, it already had showed that I completed the course, and it took me exactly where I left off. So we absolutely have the ability, which is great, because we understand that people get busy and they don't have enough time allotted, or a crisis could have occurred in the meantime. You can log in and log out. It is just-in-time training. So like I said, if you have somebody that's new to the organization and you want to ensure that they're getting trained appropriately, you don't have to wait to ensure that, there's a face-to-face training session that's going to happen somewhere along the way, or just provide them with the policy and expect them to read it and really be have an understanding. It's not very effective. So they have access as long as they have an internet connection, so people can pull up the application on an iPhone or iPad if they wanted to. As I mentioned, there is a unique username and password for each individual, so you can track those people and see that they've gone through not only their test score, but as I mentioned, a very detailed audit trail that will show how much time they spent on each page, what their quiz scores were throughout, and of course their final exam. So from a compliance and legal liability standpoint, it's been very effective for our client base, which is why they've continued to request additional applications through the Corridor Interactive platform.
Okay. And Heather, what about the costing for the course?
So for the privacy awareness course, you're looking at $25 per subscription. And as you mentioned, you can buy up to 30 subscriptions right online through the corridorinteractive.com website. And there's not just the privacy awareness, but we also have the workplace violence and harassment courses, as well as the alcohol and drug courses. So you have the ability to go on there. If you have a significantly large organization, so let's say 100 employees or more, then we do volume discounts. So again, you could just contact me directly and we could have that conversation.
Okay, so the course is currently available. You can buy it off the shelf. You can get a demonstration. You can customize the product. Anything else, Heather, that we need to talk about?
No, I think that's great. I think we've covered everything. As I mentioned, this has been a really great partnership with Corridor and information managers, and you specifically, Jean. There seems to be a need for this their product, and it's being very well received. So thanks for giving us the time to talk to your audience today and let them know a little bit more about us.
All right. Heather, it's a great partnership. It's a great product, and the platform is ideal to be able to give employers the opportunity to make sure that they're providing appropriate training at the time that they need it. Of course, you need to monitor and supervise in your organization. That hasn't changed. But if everybody starts off with the same common understanding, you're head and shoulders above the crowd, and it's going to make it easier to have that continuing conversation. So I'm going to wrap up our Practice Management Nugget webinar today with Heather Mooney. We have many opportunities for you to be able to come to our almost weekly presentation for Practice Management Nugget webinars, and to be able to meet experts in the field and vendors that support us. So let's stay connected. You can join us on LinkedIn and follow us on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, and I'd be tickled pink if you liked us. Our Practice Management Nugget webinars are also recorded as podcasts, and you can get those off of Stitcher and off of iTunes. So, Heather, it's been a delight to have you with us today, and I want to thank you again for showing us how the platform works and how we can continue to contact you to organize our privacy awareness training programs for our staff.
Thanks again, Jean.
All right, and to our audience, let's stay connected, and we look forward to seeing you next week.